Cold weather season has finally come to Alabama. You know what that means. It's soup season, baby. So, let's do my potato soup. Really, I call it my potato soup, but I got this recipe from Cowboy Kent Rollins. And it's a damn good one. So let's get ready to make this. Alright, for this recipe this time I'm going to give y'all a rundown of the ingredients. I don't always do it, but I'm going to try to this time. First thing you're going to need is smoked sausage. One thing I don't like about potato soup is it needs some kind of meat or protein. So we're going to put some sausage into it. That's one reason I really like this recipe. Next, it's a potato soup. So what do you think? Potatoes, duh. Alright. Then you're going to need heavy whipping cream. I'm making a big pot, so I'm using 2. An onion. Some garlic. Now you can use jarred garlic, or you can use garlic puree, or you can slice and chop up your own garlic. To each their own. I'm using garlic puree. It's just a personal preference, and it's what I got. And you know, in this kitchen, you just use what you got. Cheese. So what's a good potato soup without some cheese? Sour cream. Don't need a lot. I got about half of this left. That's plenty. Some seasonings. I'm using Spicy Danos. Yum yum, get you some Spicy Danos. Some chicken stock. And some flour. And some butter. Maybe a couple things I'm forgetting at the moment. Bacon bits. I got those across the kitchen. I ain't running to grab them. But, hey, it's your soup. Dress it up however you like. But those are the basic ingredients I'm using for this. So let's get started. We're going to start with the part that takes the longest, and also the star of the show. Taters. Make sure to wash your taters. Alright? You want a nice clean potato. We're going to leave the skins on them. And honestly, we're just going to get our anger out. Stab these potatoes just a few times. I've got 5 large potatoes. Alright, if you only got medium potatoes, use more. Just kind of rough estimate how many you're going to need for this recipe. I'm using 5 decently large potatoes, but I'm also making a week's worth of potato soup. Because I do all my cooking on Sunday, portion it up, meal prep it throughout the week, and I eat on it for days. It don't bother me. But if you only want to make a small batch of this, I'd probably use half of the ingredients that I'm using. I pretty much doubled everything for this recipe, because when I cook to feed an army, because I feed all you fuckers. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to get your potatoes stabbed, pop some holes in them, and you're going to turn your oven on about 375. Once your oven's done preheating, toss them in and let them cook for about 45 to 50 minutes. It's about the right range you want to go for. Alright, so your next move, dice an onion. If you don't know how to dice an onion, why are you even watching this cooking video? I mean, honestly. Dicing an onion is beginner stuff. But if you don't know how, there are plenty of tutorials online to show you how to dice an onion. Now, I like to take the first layer off just because I'm picky. I'm picky. I just like the best of the best parts of my vegetables. So, even after I get the brown layer off, I still get that first layer of onion off. Sometimes I just grip it like this, give it a little crush. This one today is fighting me. Alright. Rub all that off. Keep the root intact. Chop that. Chop it across. We're not going for super small dices here. We're just doing this roughly. Alright. It ain't gotta be perfect. We're not cooking for the queen. Alright. We're just making a hearty, warm your soul potato soup. Alright. And I like having some bits of onion to bite into in my soup. Alright. That's easy. Diced onion. It ain't perfect, it ain't pretty, but it's a basic diced onion. There we go. Next thing we're going to do is take our sausage. Now I get Smithfield hickory smoked sausage. I like it that way, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut, let's get that little ugly piece off of there. I'm going to cut coins out of this. Alright, little sausage coins. Alright, and we're going to cook these in a pan, and then I'm going to roughly chop them up a little bit smaller for better bite-sized pieces for the potato soup. Yeah, just go with some coins. Alright, it's pretty simple. Now I'm using 2 sausages, again, because I'm doubling everything in this recipe. For you, just use 1, unless you like your soup with extra meat. Then go for it. I'm going to go ahead and chop this up. I ain't going to record all that. Let's start with assembling this soup. So, if you're a self-respecting southerner like me, you got some bacon grease around your kitchen. Now, this is not a requisite for this recipe, but I like it. So, I'm going to throw a little bacon grease. If you don't have bacon grease, don't worry about it. It's not completely necessary. But throw a tablespoon of bacon grease in there, maybe a little bit more if you kind of like it. So I'm going to throw that bacon grease in there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that spoon. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to throw in half a stick of butter, and then I'm going to throw a full stick in later when I make my roux. We're going to throw that stick of butter in there. It is nice and hot. That's the way I like it. Alright. So we're going to stir that around. Now, don't turn this up too high right now, but the good thing is that bacon grease is actually going to help my butter from burning. It's a good tip. It's got a higher smoke point than butter, so as long as we don't get it too high, that butter's going to, or that bacon grease is going to help prevent that butter from burning, browning, ruining the flavor. Then you're going to have your onions that I just roughly diced up earlier. Toss those in. And you're just going to stir those around until they get translucent. Till you can, pretty much they're clear. Alright, that's just a fancy word for it, translucent. Alright. Stir that around. Now while I'm also doing that, I'm going to take a pan and I'm going to start cooking my sausage in this pan to keep some of the grease out of the soup. I don't want the soup too greasy. I know I'm putting bacon grease in there, but the sausage is going to produce a lot of grease. So I'm going to cook it separately. She's almost hot. By the way, don't check the heat of your pan by touching it like I do. Alright? Do as I say, not as I do. Please. I'm a professional. I've done this quite a few times. Alright, I didn't record this part, but I went ahead and threw a little bit of spicy Dan-O's in here while the onions were cooking just to give it a little extra start for some flavor. But once you're towards the end of where your onions are starting to look a little translucent, go ahead and go in with your garlic. Whichever form of garlic you're using, again, I'm using puree. I'm just going to put a little bit of garlic puree in there. Now, I know some people like heavy on garlic. I think garlic overpowers a dish if you put too much, but hey, to each their own. Alright, stir that in, get incorporated. And then we're going to go ahead and add another stick of butter. And we're going to get started on our roux. And yes, we're going to do it while our onions are still in the pan. Alright, so I had
I had to turn the camera off because trying to unwrap a stick of butter one-handed, I ended up having a little bit of the paper still stuck to the butter when I dropped it in there, so I had to retrieve that before I could finish. All right, unwrapping a stick of butter one-handed is not a simple task. All right, so now we're going to make a roux. Now again, this looks like a lot, but again, I'm making a big pot. So now I don't measure. Just going to roughly throw some flour in here. All right. If you ain't ever made a roux, it's pretty simple. You got two ingredients. You got flour and some kind of fat, like butter. Now I'm doing this with onions still in there. That doesn't really make much of a difference. But you just want to get kind of a thick roux. So, that much. If you put too much flour in there, you can always kind of bring it back down with some more butter or some other cooking oils, possibly. But you just want to get it a little thick. And now, oh, of course there's a little pull tab on this heavy whipping cream. Can I do it one-handed without making a mess? Yes, I can. Hey, what do you know? I have some skills. Alright. Now you're going to add your heavy whipping cream, and you're going to kind of break up that roux just a little bit. Not too much, but just slightly. You're going to start mixing this in with that roux. Now, our heavy whipping cream is cold, so that's going to bring the whole pot down in temperature. So we're going to turn this up just a little bit. Start mixing this together. For quick reference, that is the kind of color I like on my pieces of sausage. The rest of these aren't really well done, but that's what I'm going for. That right there. Alright, I got my sausages cooking, but now, once we start getting a little thick here, as you can see, we're starting to get kind of a thick consistency. We're going to hit it with the chicken stock. Alright, now you can use one whole container or two. I wouldn't worry too much about if it gets thin, because I have a little strategy on if you want to thicken up your potato soup later. It requires some specialty tools, but trust me when I say it makes the soup a lot richer, a lot better.
Alright, now that we've cooked up our little coins of sausage, I still have some on the stove, but oh, about to lose some. Oh, I did lose one. Can't be doing that. Alright, so now that we got our little coins of sausage cooked up, we want to take them and just roughly chop them into some more bite-sized pieces. We're not trying to go for anything fancy here again. We're just trying to make it easier to take a bite of it. You know what I mean?
Alright, everything's starting to get heated, so now we're going to add some sour cream to this. Again, I'm doing this one-handed, okay? That's why it looks awkward. Alright, there we go. Stir that in. You know what? While we're adding the sour cream, let's go ahead and add the spicy Dan-O's. Season it up good. I like it well seasoned. Alright, especially I'm using a big pot of soup, so we're going to season that up real good. We like flavor in our lives. We're almost done. Oh yeah, looking good. Alright, now we're going to add a sausage to this. Now our soup's starting to come together.
So for this potato soup, if you need to thicken up your soup a little bit, I have a bit of a strategy for this. So what I'm going to do is roughly chop up half of one of these large potatoes. Okay? It's hot. I may have chef's hands, but not for a freshly steaming baked potato. I'm sorry. There's some things I can't do, and that's play hot potato with a hot potato. Alright, so I'm going to throw little bits of potato in here. Ain't got to be a lot, just a little. And then I'm going to take some of the broth and soup with a ladle from my pot here. I'm going to add it into this bowl. Alright, and then comes one of my favorite tools. An immersion blender. This thing is great. But if you don't have this, you can always take a potato masher or maybe a blender. And you want to smash and mix this up with this broth. And make, it'll almost be like a mashed potato. And that will help thicken this up. Alright. So my potato slurry looks kind of like that. A little thick. Alright. And that is what we're going to add to this soup to thicken her up. Alright, so let your potatoes cool till you can handle them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to dice them up. Now if you want to peel them, take the skins off of them, that is up to you. But me, I like to leave the skins on. I think it adds a little bit of extra vitamins and some flavor. And I'm not afraid of eating some potato skins. In fact, I think sometimes it's the best part. So, then we're just going to dice these up into bite-sized pieces. Some of it might mush up because this ain't the sharpest knife in the box. In the drawer, however you want to say it. But, again, simple, easy. Didn't say it was pretty. Alright. You're going to just do it for all your potatoes. Dump it in your pot. Alright. We have added our sausage. We have added our potatoes. We've added our sour cream. We've added some spicy Danos. Now if you want to, you can add a little bit more spicy Danos. Depends on how much flavor you really like. And we are at just the right consistency for this soup. But we're missing one crucial ingredient. Gotta have some cheese, man. So let's throw a whole bunch of cheese in here. I'm actually gonna get some extra cheese in here because I like things extra cheesy. And you can always top your bowl with some extra cheese too afterwards. But I'm gonna do about that much cheese. Go ahead and stir it in. Can't forget that crucial ingredient. Now, I'm not putting bacon bits in the soup. When I pour out a bowl of this soup, I will throw bacon bits and extra cheese on top. Alright, so my neighbors requested that next time I make this soup, they had to get some. So I'm going to go ahead and portion up some soup to bring to them, and I'm going to show y'all how I do it. Get a nice little scoop of that potato soup. We're going to clean off our edges here. Then we're going to take a little pinch of cheese, throw that on top. Take our bacon bits, put a little bit of bacon bits on top of each. And there we go, guys. That's some potato soups ready to go. Great to take for lunch, bring it to work, or just portion it out and eat it throughout the week. That's my potato soup recipe. Give it a shot. It's great for the winter. Warms your soul. All right, get cooking.